Shuttle coasters are a type of coaster with an incomplete circuit. This means riders traverse the same section of track going both forwards and backwards. These types of coasters have exploded in popularity in recent years, but the word shuttle tends to have a negative connotation in the coaster community, and I don't think that's entirely fair. Shuttle coasters can have drawbacks, but not always. In this video, I will explain why we should be more appreciative of this ride type. My inspiration for this video came from the discourse around Six Flags Great Adventure's new for 2027 roller coaster codenamed Project Purple that is widely expected to be a shuttle coaster. Shuttle coasters have been around since the 19th century, but they exploded in popularity in the late 1970s. That was when the two most prominent steel coaster manufacturers at the time debuted two popular coaster models. Arrow unveiled the launched loop. This propelled riders down a drop and through a loop. The train would then stop on an elevated platform before being blasted backwards to repeat the course. Schwarzkopf also debuted a shuttle loop. This would feature a strong launch into a vertical loop and a vertical spike that would reverse the train's direction. It is not hard to see why parks loved adding shuttle coasters. These rides had less track, so they were cheaper to build. But since the train traveled over each track section twice, the overall duration was often comparable to a full circuit coaster. They could also market the coaster as having an exciting backwards section, and in many cases, this is one of the highlights on a shuttle coaster. But I have noticed that any announcement of a shuttle coaster nowadays receives scorn in the coaster community, and I don't think that's entirely warranted. The biggest drawback to this ride type is the capacity. Shuttle coasters usually can run just one train because of the multi-pass nature of the layout. At a smaller park, this is fine, especially since most of the full circuit coasters at a smaller park will run one train anyways. But at larger parks, one train operations can be a major issue. That is part of the reason why manufacturers have found creative ways to run multiple trains on shuttle coasters. The earliest strategy was to build multiple tracks. One of the earliest examples was Six Flags Great Adventure with lightning loops. The park built two identical tracks that interlocked with each other. We have seen other rides take similar approaches, such as Superman at Six Flags Magic Mountain. A more interesting approach is to build two similar but different tracks. This gives the capacity boost while offering two different ride experiences. Sometimes parks will market the rides accordingly. For example, Six Flags Great Adventure built Batman and Robin the Chiller in the 1990s. Batman started with a giant inverted top hat, whereas Robin started with a cobra roll. The two-track method has two advantages. One, the rides can operate independently in case one side goes down for technical issues or maintenance. It also yields dueling or racing coasters. This adds another dimension of excitement for guests between the near misses and interactions. One great example of this is what a few manufacturers have done with the family boomerang coasters. Another method to improve capacity of a shuttle coaster is to add some sort of switch track. This enables multi-train operations. One train can navigate the main circuit, while another is loaded. This can be achieved in a variety of ways. For example, Premier has used a sliding track on multiple coasters, most notably the Mr. Freeze coasters at the Six Flags parks. Other manufacturers like Mach Rides have used turntables or rotating platforms on their coasters. We have seen this with their power splashes. And with more parks incorporating multi-pass launches, we have seen some rides have nearly full circuits, except for the launch section. This is separated from the rest of the layout using a switch track. This can sometimes be slow like on Top Thrill 2 at Cedar Point, but other times it is a quick method such as the ones on Two Tatis at Parc Astérix. Having said all that, I think it is fair to criticize a large park that adds a shuttle coaster that runs just one train. That is especially true if it is meant to be a signature attraction. When Six Flags Over Texas originally announced Aquaman Power Wave, it would have only operated with just one train. The park ultimately delayed the coaster for 2 years to add a turntable to enable two train operations. While the delay was unfortunate, having multiple trains ultimately was the right call. I think that ride's reception would have been way different had it opened with just one train, and garnered miserable waits day after day. Meanwhile, one of the most egregious examples how not to do a shuttle coaster is what the Disney parks have done with RC Racer. This is a single intimate half pipe. These are enjoyable supporting attractions, but they do not have the throughput needed for a Disney park. If Disney had built multiple tracks side by side, this could have been manageable, and they definitely had the budget for it. Instead, these rides typically have one of the longest waits at their respective parks day after day, because they cannot accommodate enough people compared to their other rides. Another poster child for how not to do a shuttle coaster is what Six Flags Great Adventure did with their new for 2025 edition, Flash Vertical Velocity. This was a Vekoma Super Boomerang. Enthusiasts and general park goers alike love the layout. It is a super smooth ride with multiple launches, 2 vertical spikes, some epic hang time, and some fun airtime pops. However, everyone hates this ride's line. A Vekoma Super Boomerang running one train would be fine at a smaller park, but that is not okay for Great Adventure. This almost always has the worst wait in the park. It frequently hits the 1 to 2 hour mark daily. It is a popular coaster that can only run one train in a major park, and since it's right next to the main entrance, it gets slammed immediately. The one train operations at this park are particularly noteworthy because this park typically prioritizes fast operations and high throughputs, so Flash really sticks out like a sore thumb. And again, in the past, they have previously built shuttle coasters that ran multiple trains. I think people would have been much more receptive and appreciative of Flash if it had been built with a special load platform that allowed 2 train operations. PTSD from Flash is why I think people were initially frustrated by Project Purple. This is widely expected to be a mock tower coaster, which would be a shuttle extreme spinning coaster. I love the mock extreme spinners, so I was salivating at the prospect of getting one that would be 300 to 400 feet tall, and the shuttle element combined with the spinning would make it uber disorienting. If this tower coaster had been built with just one train, it would deserve all the backlash. But the plan suggests it'll have a switch track, meaning it can run multiple trains, which again is what Great Adventure did with their older shuttle coasters before Flash. I have noticed the animosity towards Project Purple has significantly decreased with each construction update, and I think that's because the ride looks amazing. The long stall with an inverted launch looks ludicrous in the best way possible. It is unlike anything we have seen before. It should offer some exceptional hang time, especially if the vehicles are forced to spin throughout it as well. Then the launch into the giant spike continues to a near vertical angle, so it should have quite a bit of power. I think shuttle coasters are here to stay, especially as manufacturers get more dynamic and creative. I just hope parks and manufacturers remember to prioritize capacity. It can really impact the discourse when a ride is announced, and it can really influence the narrative long term. Jumping back to Flash, most people really like the ride, but the first thing I always hear people talk about is the long wait, or that was a mistake for that park. Had it been built at Great Adventure with multiple trains, I think Flash would have had an overwhelmingly positive reception. And again, if this had been built at a smaller park, the one train operations probably would have been fine. That is why I'm glad that Great Adventure is fixing their sins with Project Purple. Those are my thoughts on shuttle coasters and their place in the amusement industry. What are your thoughts on this ride type? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.